Welcome to the Preventive Medicine Podcast. Help us change the paradigm of medicine from keep people alive to help people thrive, one episode at a time. And now, here's the show.
I know you hate that part, but...
We've talked about a lot of amazing things on this podcast. I'm sure we could talk on for like another hour, 2 hours, 3 hours with the way this discussion's going.
Several years, like I've talked with Jason.
Yeah. Exactly. But in the interest of time and with respect to your time, we're gonna bring it to the last classic question, which, based on the discussion, you will likely hate because it's very reductionist. But if you have 2 minutes, you're waiting for your Starbucks, and someone comes up to you, you're like, "Hey, you're Dr. Baraki, right? How do I get healthy?" What do you say to them?
Oh, okay. So in this situation, they're actually asking me how to be healthy. When I saw the initial question, is like, how do you tell people how to be healthy? And I'm like, well, first of all, I don't do that. You don't go out and force this stuff down people's throats. But if somebody asked how they could be healthier, really, I'm going to spend those 2 minutes on what I view as kind of like the highest yield targets, to use a phrase that you guys are going to be intimately familiar with around boards time, right? So I think those are going to have to be the nutrition piece and the exercise piece above just about anything else. I'm certainly not going to spend those 2 minutes talking about getting health screenings done and things like that. But if I can get them from an exercise standpoint, what are my goals? Well, of course, I want to get them doing something because, again, I'm not going to just spit out the exercise guidelines at them because I don't know where they're coming from. I don't know what their where their starting point is and what they're willing to do. But what I do think I can get people to do is do some chair sit to stands every single day, if not multiple times a day, if they're willing to do it with some added load, hold a milk jug or something like that. And the reason why I like focusing on that is because the worst case scenario outcome for me in terms of physical disability and frailty is the person who I end up seeing in the hospital who ends up going to a nursing home. Because as you mentioned, the downward spiral, they go there, they end up with, decubitus ulcers, they end up with C. diff, they end up with all kinds of other problems. They get sent back and then back and forth until they die. Mm-hmm. So if I can keep people out of keep them living independently, even if they are not in perfect shape, but if they can live independently and get up out of a chair and take care of themselves, then that's that's like 80% of what I can do for somebody from an exercise standpoint. The rest is, reducing downstream morbidity from other accumulating medical conditions. And that's really my threshold, is if you can get out of a chair, then you have the requisite strength to be able to take care of yourself. You can get off the toilet and get out of a chair. When you can't do that, that's when you end up in a sniff. So my exercise recommendation, I might spend the first minute working on getting them to understand the importance of doing repeat chair sit to stands. As those get easy, they can add weight, pick an arbitrary set and rep scheme, do that every day for the rest of your life, basically.
So 5 by 5.
Sure, that's fine. Because presumably a lot of people that I see are doing none, and I test patients out in the hospital all the time, and they can't get out of a chair once, or they can't do it without using their arms, and that is just a reflection of weak hip musculature, and that is the highway to the nursing home. So I'd prefer that not happen. The second minute, I suppose, is probably going to be spent speaking on nutrition, and there are obviously a whole boatload of different targets that you can select here. I think if I had to pick one that I would focus on with most of the population in the developed world, it's going to be to eat more plants. I'm not a vegetarian. I'm not a vegan. And I could just as easily say, I want you to eat more protein. I want you to eat more fiber. I want you to eat less saturated fat from animal foods or something like that. But I think that if we could get more of the population here to eat more the fruit and vegetable, that would hopefully displace a lot of other less beneficial things from their diet. It would increase their nutrient intake, probably, compared to a more refined processed diet. It would increase their fiber intake, which itself can protect against other harmful components in the diet. And I think that's probably one of the bigger bangs for our buck that we can get, because I'm more likely to make an impact by asking them to do that compared to just telling them to eat less if they are carrying some excess body fat or something like that, because that's really difficult to do as well and takes a longer conversation than you have there. So those are probably the two big things that I would aim to get some biggest bang for my buck out of people in a 2-minute conversation like that.
Preventive medicine is an incredibly important topic. I want to thank you for taking the time to watch this video. For the full episode, find us on your favorite podcast streaming platform. If you enjoyed this video, don't hesitate to hit that subscribe button, like this video, and share it to keep that message spreading. Thank you once again for watching this video, and we'll see you in the next one.